What's up? What's up? It's your boy Sean P back again with another edition of Hip Hop Roundtable Reviews. So, 2026 has gotten off to a fast start. ASAP Rocky is dropped already, which we're going to get to probably next week. I want to take some time to listen and really give my fair perspective on that album. Also, French Montana and Max B dropped already, and we're not even in the first 2 weeks of 2026. But most notably, and as we talked about in our last video, shout out Ansem from BLG, aka Bootleg Gang. We talked about the preview of J. Cole's Fall Off, where J. Cole announced that he's dropping on February 2nd now. And right after that, he dropped Disc 2, Track 2, So that came out right after, I want to say the same afternoon that he noted that he's going to come out on February 2nd. And let's just say it's got the internet abuzz. It was the talk of hip hop this week. There was a lot going on in that album. A lot going on in that song. And he had a video with it that had a lot of visuals that were very creative and reminiscent of other hip hop legends. So today, we may go for a little while on this one because I got a lot of points to make about this song, about the direction of the album, and also some of the controversy. Obviously, J. Cole pulled out of battling Kendrick Lamar after he dropped 7 Minute Drill 2 years ago on the Might Delete Later. I want to call it a soundtrack, but it's really a mixtape that he dropped. And there's been controversy around that. Is his career going to be the same, or is he allowed to talk his shit? Is he allowed to be aggressive as an MC, or can he specifically only rap about other things than having braggadocio in hip hop and being the best? Most notably, DJ Academics has called him out on that. No surprise. And DJ Academics said, basically, if he ever talks his shit, he's going to be, it's the most, for lack of a better word, pussy thing you could ever do. But there are opinions going on around that, going back to the battle where people said he did the right thing in pulling out. And a lot of people have changed their opinions on him from pulling out of that battle. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But first, let's break down the track. We're going to look at a video from Rob Markman. Shout out Rob Markman. Definitely check his page out. He's one of the best YouTube content creators when it comes to hip hop. And we're going to make some points about that. Who could he be speaking about in there? Did he go a little bit too far talking his shit in there? We'll talk about that. And we'll also, after that, talk about why I think J. Cole still should be creative lyrically on the next album and shouldn't be limited to just rapping about certain things, but all because he pulled out the battle. So let's start with that and let's go. We're going to do what we usually do. We're going to stop and start and we'll talk about it. Let's go.
In a room similar to the one on the album cover. It's not a one-to-one. It's not the same exact. Looks like a recreation of it with the ASR 10 right there. And, the video is Cole going through different stages of his life. And it starts off with, it says Jermaine was here on the wall, and then Cole's sitting at the ASR and he's writing rhymes, beats and rhymes, man. This is how he started. He's ending how he started, right? The song kind of reminds me, and we'll go through the lyrics, but the song reminds me of Nas's Rewind song from the Stillmatic album. Classic record, classic Nas storytelling record where Nas rhymes backwards. So it kind of gives me Nas Rewind vibes. We know how much Cole is a fan of Nas, so I don't think that is lost on him. Could potentially.
Okay, so let's stop it there. So basically, when you listen to the song, and I'm not going to play the song verbatim because obviously, copyright issues with YouTube are going to come into play. But he basically told the story backwards. Now, there has been controversy. I'm not going to say controversy, but people online speaking out about that, saying he's biting Nas. But see, my pushback to that is, like, look, people put out the same, and there's a certain style of rapper, certain style of MC, put out the same redundant songs over and over and over again. Most notably Drake. And they just do what everybody else does. So if J. Cole, and I don't think he directly bit Rewind, but he did tell a story backwards. If he basically told his life, and believe it or not, he told his life from 60 years in the future, looking back. It's not like now looking back, because Nas told a story looking back of just what he was doing. It's just like a day in the hood or whatever. This is kind of, I think this is even a better concept, because he's talking about his career and him looking back in his career, reflecting and going backwards all the way to when he was signed and when he was young. So I actually think that's more of an intricate twist to it. But not only that, so all of a sudden now somebody being creative and doing something different is biting, when J. Cole is doing something different from what everybody else is doing in the mainstream. So I think that's a very hypocritical from hip hop fans and hip hop commentators, to say that shit. And I think people that like that are very one-dimensional in their thinking by doing that. But let's go on with Rob's video and his take on it.
Actually be an inspiration, except this is a more deeply personal story to Cole's life. Nas' storytelling was like a street tale. It kind of, just I'm assuming it's fantasy. I'm assuming that didn't really happen to Nas, or if it did, or some version of that did, we weren't privy to it. We didn't see it play out. The first time we hear the story is on Rewind, right? With this song with Cole, and which makes it special, especially for longtime fans, is Cole is telling us his life, and he's been telling us his life throughout his discography. So parts of this will sound familiar to us. We'll be able to follow along because, in a sense, we had been on this journey with him the whole time.
Which is what I was just saying. It's like, this is more of an introspective view backwards of his career, and it fits the theme of the album too, the fall off, because he actually alludes to it, maybe this is how many years in the future when he's retired from rap and he's done, and he's apparently fell off. So to me, I think, if you want to say bare bones, is it the same as Rewind? Maybe you can say that as far as the overall structure of the song. But concept-wise, I think there is a difference, because Nas just told a story of a day in the hood, really, or of something that happened to him, true or untrue. You know what I mean?
So, it gives us points to hang on to when, as a fan and stuff like that. But it's basically Cole starting at the end of his life and going to the beginning. And that's the theme of the song, one verse straight through. I think it's a dope concept, and he tackled it in a very dope way. He says, so lyrics, I persevere through the worst. My thirst to adhere is a curse. My life, I see it in reverse. I first appeared in a hearse. The driver steered to the church. My grandkids carried a coffin to the altar as they burst into tears from their shirts. So, right? My life, I see it in reverse. He's telling you he's going backwards, and I first appeared in the hearse. So it's the last scene of his life. I mean, I guess the ultimate fall off is death, right? Like, God forbid. But so it starts from that, right? It starts from his funeral. The tears rise to the sides of their face.
If you have ED, you might need to work on your mental game. When you're aroused, your brain releases dopamine.
so they burst into tears from their shirts. So from their shirts, the tears rise to the sides of their face. So it's playing in reverse and into their eyes. It's piercing with hurt. Fast forward 60 years, I got verse of the year. My purpose is clear. It's to murk whoever dare flirt with death, the best alive. And what you hear now is the work. Interesting, right? Like Cole.
So we're going to get to this lyric right here, the best alive. He's gotten a lot of controversy on this. And of course, DJ academics and people have called him out by saying, how could you say you're the best alive? But I'm going to hear what Rob breaks this down. And I'm going to do a detailed breakdown on why I don't think it's wrong for J. Cole to think he's the best. You know, I don't think, all right, I don't think he's out of line. I don't think this line is out of line. I think this is good, competitive hip hop. And I know what people are saying, well, he dropped out of a battle or what have you. But you still can't change who he is as an artist. You know, he still can't change how he is lyrically just because he took one action. You know, if it's good hip hop, it's good hip hop. You know what I mean? And I'm going to explain why in detail about this later. But let's hear what Rob says about it, because I got a feeling he's going to kind of agree with where I'm going with this.
People say, yo, I don't want to hear Cole talk about he's the best anymore after, you know, he took back 7-minute drill and bowed out of the battle with Kendrick and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, guess what? You're still going to have to hear it. This is Cole looking back on his life. Fast forward 60 years. I got verse of the year. No, this pen still work. I still rap. My purpose is clear. It's to murk whoever dare flirt with death, the best alive. And what you hear now is the work. Cole still going to talk his shit, dog. like you got to accept it.
Just got to deal with it.
The inspiration was rare and in spurts. But when an
artist can't change who he is because he made one move. You know what I mean? He still wants to put out great hip hop, and it's fire lyrics. I mean, the bars on this, the bar work on this is A1. I mean, lyrically, this is close to a 10 out of 10 you can get. You know what I mean? So, I mean, my pushback is always, and you know, my homie Reese from Torture Talk, he always says, people give you real hip hop, and then people complain, real hip hop and real lyrics. And people have been complaining, we want real hip hop and real lyrics for so long. But then when you get it, oh, nah, he can't talk his shit. He can't do this. He can't do that. Then you want to micromanage it. So what's it going to be? Do you want real hip hop or not? That's the perspective I'm coming from. And if you don't want to support it just because of the battle or him pulling out the battle, nobody's forcing you to listen to it. Go listen to something else. You know, there's a lot of other hip hop out there.
I'm immersed. My experience of being a parent dispersed, watching my son disappear as I stare at his birth. The inspiration was rare and in spurts, but when it's there, I'm immersed. So just talking about how he immerses himself in music and probably later in life, right? Like after having kids, that the inspiration to do music and girth. You know, the other thing about this that is really dope is that he keeps the rhyme scheme throughout the whole verse. It's one long verse. He's telling a story and he keeps the rhyme scheme. I mean, that's dope and that's impressive to me. You know, like, because one, you got to tell the story so it makes sense. So sometimes, like, you know, you might break a rhyme scheme because it's like, hey, I really want to keep this story consistent. But to keep your story consistent and to keep your rhyme scheme consistent is dope. I mean,
that's a hard thing to do. Not many artists can do that. I mean, I'm thinking off the top of my head, Jay-Z can do it. Nas can do it. He did it, obviously. Maybe Eminem, maybe Royce the 5'9". That's very hard to do. Keep that concept and keep the structure of the song and not break that. It's almost like an actor, you know what I mean? You know, breaking that role. You know what I mean? Because when you're in a movie, you got to be that actor all the way through that movie. I mean, any type of part of that that movie where that actor, breaks his role, and maybe you see a little bit of his real personality in there, it kind of kills the movie. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the same thing. I think I agree with Rob on that one.
This is what it is, and that's not easy. I know there's a lot of people be like, oh, he just rhymed the same thing over and over again. That is not easy. To tell a consistent story and keep the consistent rhyme scheme is not easy. And any MC, anybody who raps will tell you that. I'm telling you.
I don't feel like cooking today, so I'm trying 2 meals from Cook Unity to see if they're actually worth the hype. And first up, we're starting with this mission style.
Wifey's stomach growing greater in girth, and they declining every time we come here to the nurse, thing off her finger, and now I'm single. So he's getting married. Walking up the aisle back, lusty, quick to fuck me, unaware of their worth. We leave the club, drive to the merch. It begins with the arms diverse. It's back in the days when I was broker, I wasn't, one of the so-called kings wasn't coming in. And though I'm blessed, it's back in the days when I was broker, I wasn't, that I don't care to convert. On cloud 9. Now
this I want to get to, because there's a controversy about him talking about Jay-Z on this album or on the song. So I have some comments to make on this, but let's hear Rob's breakdown on, was it a shot to Jay-Z? Was J. Cole being humble on himself? Like, what was that?
Signed to my hero, one of the so-called kings of this rap thing that I swear to usurp. Now, usurp, right? Take over, right? What does usurp me? I know what usurp me. And one of those things,
go around.
I swear we're going to have a learning moment right now.
It means to go around.
I know what it means, but I'm like, what's the exact definition of usurp? Usurp is to take a position of power or importance unlawfully by force, to take someone's place or position of power. So
my bad. To take his power. Yeah. So he was right on that.
Oh, on cloud 9, now signed to my hero, one of the so-called kings of this rap thing that I swear to usurp. Who is that? It's Jay-Z. If you watch my last video, I talked about one of the things that I hope to see on this album, just as a fan. I want to see a Jay feature. And it kind of goes back to what Cole said in the beginning of the video, like, hey, I want to do on my last album what I didn't do on my first, right? Sideline story. I said this in my last video. Jay was on Mr. Nice Watch, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great collaboration. I think J. Cole and Jay-Z have an amazing collaboration if they get in. I think at this stage.
You know what? I never liked that song. I'm so glad somebody finally said that. I think Mr. Nice Watch was one of the most underwhelming features of all time. Like, I think A Star Is Born was their best collaboration with J. Cole and Jay-Z on his album. But Mr. Nice Watch was so underwhelming. Oh my God, man. So I'm glad. And yeah, I don't know how to take this. I basically have come to the conclusion. I think Cole is basically saying, I was supposed to be the heir apparent to Jay-Z. I was supposed to take over from him, but it's almost like we never had we kind of missed out on having that kind of transition, to that, because they never featured together like that. And yes, I want to see a Jay-Z feature on this album, on Fall Off. I'm almost thinking now, though, in my opinion, it might not be out of the realm of possibility that Nas features on this album. I could see that happening. I definitely could see that. And that would get a lot of heads talking. I would love, a matter of fact, now that I think about it, do you want to see Cole feature with Nas or feature with Jay-Z more? I'd love to see both of them. But now that I think about it, I want to see a Nas feature a little bit more than a Jay feature on this album. A Nas feature would get the hip hop community talking. I tell you what, to see them two go at it on record. But let's get back to the commentary.
In their career where Jay is now, where Cole has grown to, because he's fulfilled the prophecy. he was signed to my hero, one of the so-called kings of this rap thing. Now Cole is one of the kings of this rap thing that I swear to usurp. Does he swear to usurp the rap thing or swear to usurp Jay? Maybe that he wanted to become bigger than Jay. Arguably, but no matter which side you land, I think to a different generation for sure, Cole means more than Jay. I don't know if Cole has usurped Jay-Z, literally, but Cole is a king. Cole wears a crown too. Like Jay wears a crown.
He's part of the big three.
It's not that far-fetched. Cole kind of did it, man, and did it on his own. It's not like he leaned on Jay.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, and I actually see the lyrics up there, I don't think that's a shot. That's almost paying homage to one of these so-called kings. You know what I mean? And Jay-Z is a so-called king. He's not going on and saying he's the undisputed king. You know what I mean? I mean, at that time, who was the greatest MC? Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. You throw Tupac in there. You could throw, in Cole's generation, it's probably right now Kendrick Lamar. So saying one of these so-called kings is not, oh, you're a so-called king. That doesn't mean you're really a king. I think that means, yeah, he's a so-called king. I don't think it's disrespect to Jay-Z in any way. And people are trying to make it like, oh, you're not really the king and I'm usurping you now. And I kind of don't see that. I see more homage than kind of slander, not slander, but I see that kind of more as homage than shade, more than anything.
For a feature for every album, there's not even a whole lot of pictures of them. I'd say Cole built a thing for himself and did it his way. I think it's dope. I would love to see another moment with those two. That's all I'm saying. That's my main point, right? So on Cloud 9 now signed to my hero, one of the so-called kings of this rap thing that I swear to usurp.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I don't know. I would love, you know what? You want to really hit it out the park? Have one feature with Nas, have one feature with Jay-Z on here. You know what I mean? That would be absolute fire if he does that. Absolute fire.
I would love to see it. I wonder where they're at now. I wonder if we'll get a collaboration on this album. Decade later, Mama cut the cable. My motivation to be greater ends the long. We know that how dope track, man.
Why I get triggered when someone gives me unsolicited advice. When I was younger, it came.
This is a dope track. The song ends and the screen gives a message. It says the fall off is inevitable. And Cole's been telling us this for years, and that's the theme of this album. Also interesting to note the audio series that they said it's not a podcast. I say it's not a podcast, so I respect when they say it's not a podcast. But he did an audio series with Eve and Scott Laser, and it was called The Inevitable. So the fall off is inevitable. And then, the same way it feels like Cole's career and his ascension was inevitable. It's funny how that works, because that's what I thought the inevitable meant. When they were telling that story to me, the inevitable meant that Cole was destined for this. And then he says the fall off is inevitable, and it connects me back to that storytelling. So it's all part of the plan, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. This track is the perfect way to set off 2026. If I had to rate this track, I would probably give this a 9.5 to almost 10 out of 10. The flows, the lyrical diction on here, the concepts, the video, the visuals, everything is A1. The poetic license as to, well, is he going there? Is he kind of talking and shit? But is he paying homage? Like, he leaves it up to speculation as to, is he elevating, himself over other rappers, or is he paying homage to? Just that slight question out there is perfect for poetic license for him. This is a fire track. And if he's coming like this on Fall Off, watch out. We could be in for a classic. We could be in for this year's version of Let God Sort Them Out. And this could be what we're waiting for. This could be this could be the album of the year, you know. Now, I said in I'll probably stop sharing now because they talk a little bit about the other featured song with that had Drop a Gem on them on there. We're probably going to talk more about that later in the upcoming in an upcoming pod. But yeah, I think this is close to a perfect song as you can get. And in my opinion, you know, after J. Cole had that after J. Cole had that moment where he backed out of the battle, I think this is the perfect way to come back where, you know, he's being J. Cole. This is who he is. He's driving the anticipation up, and this is the perfect song to come back with. Now, he's going to come back probably with another single, which is probably going to be more of a radio banger, more radio-friendly song right before the album drops. But this is the first way to come. Like, applause, Cole. Applause on this one. This is close to 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10 if I was to rate this album, rate this song. I'm so used to doing albums. I think songs are albums now. But yeah, definitely he did his thing on this one. And people have to remember before the beef, before First Person Shooter, Cole was the guy everybody was looking to take that next step. And as I said in our last vlog, there is a third party out there that are tired of Kendrick and Drake. There is a third group of fans that want to hear Cole ascend to that top level. Now, the thing about it is that, you know, and we're going to get to this, can you be the top guy when you wanted to spark off a beef with the top guy and then you backed out? And see, that's the interesting part of all of this right here. And I'm just going to say this. You know what I mean? I am just going to say this about Cole talking this shit. You know, he was wrong for coming out and doing what he did. I think he was dead wrong for putting out 7-minute drill. You know what I mean? If you want my opinion, he was pushed into it though. I do think that I do believe the stories out there that his camp kind of pushed him in that direction, because I'm gonna be honest with you, like I think honestly in the industry, I think people feel a way about Kendrick Lamar. I think ever since that control verse, there's been a side of people that feel a way about Kendrick Lamar. And I think there are a lot of rappers, and he has a lot of Atlanta rappers on his label, a lot of down south rappers. I don't think they jive with Kendrick like that. And they probably egged him on and say, yeah, yo, that dude is corny. He probably heard some stuff about Mr. Morale is trash, blah, blah, blah. And then he came out with that. Second part of that is, I honestly believe, I think Drake egged him on. I think they were on tour together at that time. And I think Drake egged him on to kind of go into that battle and issue the salvo. Because at one point, I don't think Drake wanted to battle Kendrick. I think when they was on tour and when Drake came out, he said something in a concert and said, all you fans are what's really, really counts. You know, You fans are what really count. I don't give a fuck what, you know, the internet says or whatever, or something like that. I remember he said it at the show. Basically, him being a coward backing out of the battle. I think people looked at it like, well, because first person shooter was Cole's song, Cole was going to battle Kendrick, and here we go. And people were anticipating that more than Drake and Kendrick. But I think at first Cole was going to be that guy, and I do think Drake egged him on. So I think he was kind of pushed in that direction. Like, I didn't like Port Antonio, which was like a half-assed passive-aggressive explanation, which sort of like showed some allegiance to Drake, which I didn't like. But I think this song makes up for it. You know what I mean? It's like Cole getting back to being Cole. Get rid of that stuff from the past and let's go. But basically, I look at it this way. That as I pull up the banner real quick, should Cole be aggressive lyrically on this? Meaning, should he claim he's the best? You know what I mean? And as Rob pointed out, you know, you got to deal with it. He's going to be Cole. And I struggle with this. I'm like, well, you can't say that because you did back out of a battle. But you can't change who you are as a rapper. And for the life of God, with the whole internet community out there, like, you should never tell a rapper how he should make his album, especially when he's a great lyricist and a great MC. You know, I think that's totally disingenuous by hip hop fans saying, well, you only got to be putting out love songs, or you can't talk your shit and talk about how you're the best or lyrically flex on the mic. I don't know how I agree with that. And I look at it this way. As long as he doesn't say, I'm better than Kendrick, you know, he could still say I'm the nicest with this pen game. My pen game is nice or whatever. I don't have a problem with that. But if he calls out Kendrick or sends sub shots at Kendrick Lamar, if he sends subliminals at Kendrick Lamar, that is a pussy move. That is and I would lose respect for him. But in a way, I'm kind of giving him a clean slate, especially after this song. But if he puts out a classic, the Kendrick Lamar thing is going to be there. And I don't think he's going to be better than Kendrick Lamar. I just don't think so. I think you're never going to have that. You could be one of the best, but you're never going to be better than him until you take him out. I will agree with that. But as long as he doesn't say, I'm better than Kendrick, or take shots at Kendrick directly or indirectly on this album, I don't think I will have a problem with it. You know what I mean? And I think fans are a little bit disingenuous by telling him how he should make his album. And in the end of the day, like, saying you're the best or saying you're one of the best or the nicest with a pen, you're not just saying you're better than Kendrick Lamar. Why can't people say, all right, well, you're saying you're better than Drake, or you're better than Nas, or you're better than Jay-Z, or you're better than Eminem? People just go to Kendrick Lamar because that's your direct counterpart who you're in somewhat competition with. So they just allude, oh, he must be talking about Kendrick, when he's really not, technically. When he's saying, oh, I'm the best, he could be talking about Pac, Biggie. I mean, it's out there. You know what I mean? He's just feeling he has confidence in his game. And let's keep it real. Other rappers have done way more corny shit, in my opinion, and people have given them a pass. Like, we just talked about Game, who Game for years has been the king of, you know, doing an all-out diss or subliminal dissing rappers like a Kendrick Lamar, or all out diss on Eminem, and then giving him props, not only in the same album, but the same song. So people have given him a pass for doing that corny shit, and they've anointed him a West Coast legend, and oh, he's one of the nicest with the game. I mean, I saw it when Game dropped his last mixtape with DJ Drama. There were legitimately a portion of people saying he could out-rap Kendrick Lamar. And he said that. He came out and said, oh, I could out-rap anybody. Nobody can out-rap me, especially on the West Coast. That's a direct dig at Kendrick Lamar. People gave him a pass for that. So to me, I almost think that kind of is almost cornier or a weaker move than what Kendrick did. Not Kendrick, but what Cole did, because you're directly egging it on for attention. And you're paying him giving him props at the same time, saying, I was begging to sign him and I tried to sign him from Top Dog. So, okay, Game gets his pass, but Cole don't get his pass. We gave a pass for 20 years for Rick Ross for lying about who he was when he said, I'm not a cop. And then he admitted, oh yeah, it was me in that picture. I mean, y'all gave Ross, I mean, how many gold albums, platinum albums has he had? I mean, people gave him a pass because what does Ross do? Ross makes good hip hop. He makes good music. So you gave Rick Ross a pass. So Cole don't get his pass. You know what I mean? And then let's get to Drake. So in my last video, I told you, and I stand on it, what Drake did by suing UMG for Not Like Us, defaming him, was 10 times worse than anything Cole did. And I'll explain to you why. Like, one, I mean, Drake sued for defamation when he was the one that started everything. If there's no first-person shooter, there's no Like That. If there's no push-ups, there's no Euphoria or Not Like Us. Drake started this whole thing. How are you going to start the beef and then say, oh, he whooped my ass and the record label didn't support me in this? They supported him more than me in the battle and pushed him more than me in the battle when they were defaming me. I mean, are you serious? You know what I mean? Like, that's way worse. On top of that, like, Drake tried to make a whole deflection tactic on Not Like Us, you know what I mean? To basically, a whole deflection tactic to make it about his contract. When it's like, bro, you just got your ass whooped in a battle. This has nothing to do with your contract. If you knew they were not defaming you, well, yeah, they were defaming you and they were bringing down your value, you would have seen it for 5 years ago. One song does not take down your whole legacy and bring down your value. Now, if they did it over 5 years, maybe you have a point, but you never said nothing about that. So you want to put this fake narrative up and push a fake lawsuit, which, yeah, to me, it is fake because it got thrown out of court and laughed out of court just as a deflection tactic. And then on top of that, you know what I mean? If, let's say, for argument's sake, Drake did win this case, that would have changed hip hop forever. Because now rappers would be censored as to who they can talk about and how they would talk about it, because labels wouldn't support it because they don't want to be sued in a lawsuit for dissing people. So in my opinion, like J. Cole, I think he did get pushed into the battle. And I think he realized, like, this isn't me. Me and Kendrick had a relationship, or we have a certain type of relationship. I'm not doing this. He was being human and he was being honest about it. Now, here's my thing. I think he was wrong for putting out 7-Minute Drill, and that's going to be a stain on his career he's going to live with. But I do not think that should change who J. Cole is as an artist. If you don't want to hear him talk aggressively lyrically, don't listen to the album. That's all I gotta say. But for me, I'm listening to the whole thing, especially after this song. I am. If you want to have your opinion, oh, he's never going to be better than Kendrick Lamar. All right, fine. He's never going to be better than Kendrick Lamar until he actually battles him. That's fair. But don't tell me, oh, he has to make this type of album just because he pulled out of a battle. Just don't do that. So anyway, this song, this 2-track to 9.5 out of 10. And I'm definitely looking forward to Fall Off. That's all I got to say. Anyway, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hip Hop Roundtable Reviews. We're going to come with some new content in a week. I'm definitely going to get to some of those reviews on the new projects that came out. Probably do a little bit more on Fall Off and J. Cole, as he's the hot topic now in the game. And enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. I will see y'all soon, all right? Peace.